What's going on, guys? Sam Adams here, and welcome to The Drop, which is a weekly series every single Monday right here on the YouTube channel, where I go through the top video game releases of the week and break it down step by step so that you know what new games are hitting store shelves this particular week. And this week we have Homefront The Revolution, which is definitely the headliner. We have Shadow of the Beast coming to the PlayStation 4, and coming to the PS4 as well, we have Valkyria Chronicles Remastered. So all in all, it's a bit of a light week, but still definitely some titles worth mentioning. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. So, kicking things off, we have Homefront The Revolution coming to the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, and the PC, and this game takes place 4 years into a military occupation by the Koreans in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, which is not necessarily a city that a lot of first-person shooters or a lot of games in general aim for, so it's nice to see a unique kind of environment, and I'm excited to explore Philadelphia at some point down the line. However, within Philadelphia, it's pretty much become a ghetto, and the oppressive government is definitely oppressing the citizens, so needless to say, a revolution is beginning to rise up in the Badlands section of Philadelphia, which is where our story begins. Now, with Homefront The Revolution, they've gone back and changed a lot of the faults that the original Homefront did have to begin with. First off, it is a completely and totally open world game with random engagements, meaning that if you are wandering around the city, you might be able to predict that there's going to be some kind of ambush around the corner. However, there is going to be that element of surprise that definitely keeps you on your toes and brings a lot of livelihood into the game that the original Homefront seemed to lack. Now, on top of that, there are a lot of different aspects to the gameplay that have been added to make it a little bit more than just your standard first-person shooter experience. You can recruit revolutionaries, capture and control bases, customize your arsenal, craft weapons for your guerrilla toolkit. You can do a lot of different things that aren't necessarily just pointing and shooting or chunking grenades at enemies, which is, again, something that the original Homefront kind of lacked. It was very just standard, regular shooter game, and that's why it didn't really make waves in the community. Now, with the multiplayer side of the game, the beta did have a lot of technical issues. Most notable of those is the frame rate. It was running at about 25 frames per second when a lot was going on the screen, and that was on the Xbox One, so I'm hoping they've worked out those kinks on the console and put just as much effort into the PC version of the game. Now, let's assume that they did do this. How is the multiplayer option stacking up now? It's got some pretty good multiplayer, I'm not gonna lie. The cooperative side of multiplayer really drew me in, and I was having a great time. I streamed it for a little while, and overall I feel like it's going to be a pretty great alternative to playing Call of Duty, Battlefield, Halo. It definitely does lend itself to a more cooperative experience though, so if you're looking for a PvP kind of thing, this one might not be the one for you. However, you'll just have to try it for yourself, give it a rent from Redbox, or check out some gameplay. Homefront The Revolution is coming out on the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC this week. Now, next up we have Shadow of the Beast coming to the PlayStation 4, and this is a remake of a classic game from 1989 that was originally praised because of the amount of colors that it had, and overall the graphics were a little bit revolutionary for the time. However, looking at some screenshots for this reboot, I'm going to have to say that that's not exactly what the game is going to be praised for, and if Jim Sterling is anything to go off of, the game really isn't going to be praised that much at all. So for those that are interested in playing the game, Arbin was kidnapped and transformed by magic into a monstrous warrior who is pretty much just brainwashed into doing the bidding of his master. And throughout the course of the game, there are a lot of time-based mechanics and a lot of side-scrolling gruesome hack-and-slash kind of murderous stuff going on, and if you hit those attacks just right, you get a lot more damage, and pretty much that's the gist of the game. It's a side-scrolling hack-and-slash, that's all I can say about it, to be honest with you. So for those that want a kind of more gruesome version of Shadow Complex, you might want to check out Shadow of the Beast coming to the PlayStation 4 this week, and it is a remake of a classic 1989 game, so maybe for those of you that played the game back in the day, you might want to see where they have taken it into the future. Hey, you might not though, who knows? We'll just have to see how this one fares whenever it does hit the PlayStation 4 this week. Now, before we get into the final game, I do want to make note that I am not really into RPGs, and number two, I am not really into Valkyria Chronicles, so I'm probably not the best person to be talking about this. However, it still is worth covering for those that might be interested in either of those two things. So now that we've established that, Valkyria Chronicles Remastered is coming to the PlayStation 4 this week, which is a pretty big hit for the fans. I believe over 1 million copies have been sold, and when it comes to RPGs, it's really hard to not mention Valkyria Chronicles on some level. I believe it was released in 2008 on the PlayStation 3, and it definitely garnered a pretty big audience going forward, and that's a cool thing to see, and it's awesome to see that they've remastered it for the PlayStation 4 for a new generation of gamers to experience. So within Valkyria Chronicles, it's pretty much following the story of the Second European War, where the Empire and the Atlantic Federation are fighting over the continent of Europa. Now, on the continent of Europa, and pretty much the center where the battle lines are between the Empire and the Atlantic Federation, you have the country of Gallia, and within that country, they're trying to maintain their peaceful vibrance that they've always experienced, and so a militia has risen up to try and fight back and maintain their peaceful lives that they have always had. Even as someone who's not really a fan of RPGs, that is a great story. So all in all, this is a classic role-playing game experience that is coming to the PlayStation 4, which is awesome for two reasons, and this is something that I believe I've said before. Number one, it shows fan service to those that were fans of the original Valkyria Chronicles back on the PlayStation 3. However, it also allows a new generation of gamers and a new population on the PlayStation 4 to experience Valkyria Chronicles and keep the game alive going forward, which is something that is undeniably awesome to see. So there you guys have it. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, drop me a like down below and share this video so that more people can find my channel. And if you are new to my content in general, please take some time to check out some of my other videos. I upload new stuff like 3 or 4 days a week, and I stream live on Twitch. And of course, all of the links for all of this stuff is in the description box down below. But as for right now, I want to thank each and every one of you guys for watching this particular video. I'll talk to you soon. Peace, and have a great rest of the week.